Hello everyone, welcome to our chit chat forum where we generally chat about life's this and that, everything that makes life easy, difficult, struggles, wars that we've overcome. So this is Joyfido International. Welcome to our discussion today. There's so much we want to chat about, as always. My name is Joyfido, and let's get on with it. So today's topic is really exciting. As usual, when things happen to me personally, then I know it's time to share something with the rest of you. And you know what we're all about here. It's about empowering our success. So Joyfido is all about empowering our success. So there are times when you have a really awful day, a really, really bad day. And I was reading somewhere where someone said there are really 2 days in our lives, a good day and a bad day. And so it was like, when you have a good day, be grateful and get on with it. And then when you have a bad day, just summon up all the strength you can find and pull through it, because it will always be over. It's not like any of these days stay stuck with us. So the title of today's is Be Careful of Life's Traps. Traps, traps, traps. And what are these traps? Now, it's like one of those days I had a really, really rough day. And what was weird was I couldn't really place what was going on. Whatever anyone said to me was ringing meanings into my head, and I'm just reading them in various ways. And most times, this is how it works out. Naturally, the people that surround you, the people you're with, so especially right now with the lockdown, we don't really have that much interaction with the outside world. Now, obviously, apart from when you go online and you get to, maybe someone sends you an email, or you have to go into a workshop or a meeting online. So you're generally surrounded by your loved ones, your family, maybe your best friends. And so you're going to notice that where these bad days are going to come from will naturally be the people who are closest to you. Because that thing, that's saying about some people think that their enemies are so far away. When people say, oh, be careful of your enemies, be careful of your enemies, and you're thinking that enemies are people who really hate you and want to hurt you and want to break you. But that's not what it is. Enemies are these things that get into your spirit. The things that really create these awful days for you. And right now, with you hanging around just your loved ones and your family and your best friends, these things that are going to affect your spirit are going to come from these people that are closest to you. And you know for sure that these are not your enemies. So if we were going by this definition of your enemies being people who want to hurt you and break you and kill you in some cases, now you have your family and your best friends around you, but something is still triggering through them that's making you feel bad. And that's when I was feeling this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, I know that these people don't mean to harm you in any form. Your close friends or your family don't mean to harm you. But then something is going on. Something is coming out of them that's hurting you. So I was in one of those moods recently. And when I went to sleep, I just barely could sleep. And I'm wondering, why does it have to be your close ones, your loved ones, that are getting to you so badly? And usually the way these things come to me, an answer will just come from nowhere. And I always say an answer from above, an answer from God. And it became really clear. You know how the Bible says to you, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And it all clicked. It clicked. Because when you are having this mental block, whatever this thing that's really winding you up is happening, what happens is you can't think straight anymore. You're suddenly so angry. And who are you angry at? You're angry at your family. You're angry at your best friend. Because these are the physical people you see. But something's used them to say things to you. And now this is where the Bible is guiding us, that principalities and powers is what you're wrestling against. Not the human being. We don't wrestle against that human being, that flesh and blood. And seriously, this is so real. And that's why it really touched me to share this message. Because you may have your best friend winding you up. You may have your husband winding you up. You may have your children winding you up. You may have your parents winding you up. And you are really getting really angry and ready to take it up with them. Because we do. I mean, I've had situations where my relatives get to me and I'm like, well, you know, or your children get to you and you like, and you want to do something, you want to scream, you want to shout, you want to talk back and, you know, say things out. Both of you will get hot. You really get hot. And you watch this. When things hurt you, where do you think it hurts you? It hurts your spirit. And when your spirit gets hot, which I have experienced, you're now in this turmoil scenario where you can't think straight. Whatever it is you were working on would be, you know, now that will become aside. That's no longer important. And if you happen to have these shitty days I'm talking about, everything else is not important anymore. Everything is invalid, and it is this main issue that's just at the fore. And you know what they say about the human mind? It can only take one thing at a time. So you're in this state of mind where you're repeating whatever it is that happened. You just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. Then you realize, okay, so you're in this dream of, I'm gonna achieve this, and you have this long line of things to do, your plans, your ideas, and your, you know, all the basic things you want to work with. And then your spirit is broken. Once that spirit is broken, all of that dreams disappear. And that's when you start hearing that person's got a mental problem. And that's why one of the biggest things I'm working on right now, I call it protect your mess. Mess being mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. It's down to you to protect it. And when we have these scenarios where something engages our spirit, which is that's the main person that we are. That spirit is what moves us. That spirit is what lives when they say we've died, or when we no longer exist here. It is the spirit that lives. So one of my big reasons for going into personal development is to understand how we can protect that mess of ours, that strength that makes us who we are, how we can protect our mind, how we can protect our spirit, such that when things like this begin to happen around us, we will understand where this is coming from. We will understand how we can handle it. And I'm telling you this, or I'm sharing this with you, because it can happen to any one of us. There is no one who is immune from things like this. It could come in any form. It could come through your kids. It could come through your work, maybe your colleague at work, it could come through, maybe even a cab that you took. The driver could wind you up so much, and you are so upset the whole day. Why didn't I say this to him? And why did he talk to me like that? You could walk into a shop and someone looks at you and you go, look at the way that person looked at me. Is it because? Or it could just be the way you're dressed and you suddenly feel, oh, I'm not comfortable with this. Why is it? So things like this happen to all of us. And when they happen, how do you handle it in such a way that it becomes an aside? It becomes, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. That was just one of those things. So your ability to understand what's going on is not so much that person. It's not so much your son. It's not so much your husband. It's not so much your wife. It's not so much your best friend. It is principalities and powers. And what really hit me, what really got to me, that made the message really clear, is the fact that there's something great about you. And I've said this so many times in these videos. There's a greatness in all of us. I mean, we all have that capability to be as great as anybody else. Because that spirit that's in us is pure. But see, when things like this happen and begin to mess around with our spirit, we become weaker and weaker and weaker. I mean, I've been in scenarios where, you know, when they say be careful the kind of friends you keep, or be careful the kind of environments you exist in. When you get into a place where you're not welcome, your spirit will know. And that's how these things happen. So when you understand that the things walking through these people are beyond these people, that's when you begin to gain that power of who you are. And that's what I'm sharing here, that you need to be careful of these life's traps, because they are traps. Now, I started wondering, so to what purpose are these principalities and powers trying to frustrate you from who you really are, from this greatness that you are, this genius that you are, this unique spirit that you are? And then again, if you're a Christian and you look back more into the Bible, you begin to understand that story. I mean, that message. I think this happened to Job, where the angels were saying that they needed to go and intercede on behalf of Job, because the enemies were now the powers that were trying to use Job to destroy Job for God, to kind of like make it so difficult for him to trust God, such that he would not want to walk with God anymore, and he'd be a different person. So they were saying to God, why don't you just make Job's life very difficult and watch if he will still believe in you? So the essence of this message is, these principalities and powers really do not want to see your genius come to earth. They don't want to see you bring out those uniqueness of who you are, because the unique spirit in you has a mission for this world. That's one of the things I share all the time. For that period we're born and when we live, that period we're here, there is something we need to contribute to this world that makes the world a better place. Or, in some cases, there are people who come and actually contribute negative things. But most of the time for God is to contribute positively. And so when these things happen, you then forget who you really are and the things you need to contribute to the world. And then you remain in this permanent state of anger, permanent state of sadness, permanent state of depression, permanent state of worry, confusion, irritability with people around you. This person said this person said that. I've heard this so much. It's always one thing or the other happening. And because of that, I'm so angry. You're angry at people, but you're not focusing on yourself. And so the message is, these people that you think you're angry at are not really the people that are after you. It's these principalities and powers that are after you. They're trying to confuse you. They're trying to make sure whatever it is you need to contribute to the world, you don't do it. And that's why I have seen so many people come and go. And most times I ask myself, did they really achieve anything on this earth? It's a question I ask myself all the time. Why are we here? What are we really meant to be doing here for the period we're here? I ask that all the time. I ask me that. What am I really doing here? Because it's not all fun and games. You know, when all of us, every day we're worried about, oh, what I'm going to eat, oh yeah, and my job, and my business. And these are the only things that concern us generally. But we've not really honed it down to say, what is the bigger purpose of me being here? So that bigger purpose needs to continuously be at the back of our mind. In what way do you want to contribute to life? And these are the things that people remember when your life is done. I mean, recently, quite a few of my friends, people I knew, have all come and gone. And I look back and I say, wow, they've come, they've gone. So we need to seriously sit down with ourselves and consider ourselves. What is it that I'm here to do? And if I find out whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing, should I really allow these things that are happening around me consistently to stop me from doing those things? So one of the things I've decided to do with myself right now is whenever these confusions, these principalities and powers there are, start using people around me, I'm going to just let it go. I'm going to just tell myself, I know who you are. You're just here to block my progress. You're here to stop me from getting on with my mission in life. And I'm not going to listen. I'm not even going to take whatever you are seriously. Because you know what happens? Most times you get so angry with somebody, and later in that day, or even let's say a week later, you ask yourself, but what was it that even really made me angry? And sometimes you don't even know what it was. You ask yourself, you don't know what it was. You're like, but I was so angry I couldn't do what I wanted to do that day. Because sometimes you have a whole day lined out in front of you. I'm going to do this and I'll do this and I'll do this. And then this thing comes to happen and your whole day is shattered. And now you ask yourself, but why couldn't I do what I was going to do? Yeah, because somebody got me so angry, I couldn't do what I was going to do. But you know what happens? The thing with time is we never get it back. Time is so precious in our life that most of us still don't get the meaning of time. Time belongs to none of us. None of us have that time. We have no control of time. 24 hours in a day, once you've used it, it's gone. Once you've used it, it's gone. It was Steve Jobs, the guy who owned or who made part owner of Apple. By the time Steve Jobs was in his dying bed, it was like, I don't know what happened to time. I mean, only recently, Boseman, the actor who acted, what's that movie called? Black Panther. And he too, one of the interviews, they asked him all the things he was doing, and he said, I wish I could freeze time. So messages like this get to me. He wished he could freeze time. So now he had so much he could do. I mean, look at the amazing gift he gave us through that Black Panther. He wished he could freeze time because there's so much more he wanted to do for the world. But now time was up because he knew that he had cancer. Most people don't even get sick and time goes. So now I remind myself every day, get on with whatever it is. Get on with the program. Get on and do what you have to do. Because one of the things I've also realized is when I look back into my history, my upbringing, my growing up, and I can point at so many things that were negative growing up. Now, what lots of us tend to do is we kind of we kind of attach to those negativities, those things that you can point and you say, and this time this person did this to me, this person did this to me, this person did. So you're recalling all the time, and you're using all of that to create anger in your life. But what I realize now is, if those things did not happen to me, probably I would have had the kind of life I have now. I read somewhere where somebody said, you know, your problems are actually your strength. And that's very weird, because it's like, how is my problem my strength? It is your strength because it actually strengthens you to become stronger. Now, what lots of people do with problems is they allow it to turn them into negative. But you could turn your problem to become your positive. And that's what I mean by your problem is your strength. Because something that's not working for you, you find a way to make it work. Good example, skincare. I know lots of people on YouTube, and if you go and watch it, you find people who their face were really, really messed up because they had major problems with their skin. And you know what they did? They now, in the process of chasing the solution to what happened to their skin, they find an answer to it, and then they share that message with the world. And now other people say, oh, you were able to solve your skin problem. That means I can solve mine too. The same thing with weight loss. And you see most people, they go, this is me before, this is me after. So they turned that pain, that problem, and then they slowly work with it and make it a positive. So if that problem of excess weight problem wasn't there, then they would not have had anything to hold on to. And this is the same thing with most of us. We start our life extremely poor. You know, we could barely find food to eat. We all sat now around a table and everyone dipped their hand into one plate, or we never even saw a bed to lie on, and suddenly you use that. You use that to become your strength, your motivation. I don't want to have a life where for the rest of my life I'm scrambling for food. I want to be able to be in a position where I can buy any food I like. And so you use that as your motivation. I mean, there's a video I shared on Joy Fido Instagram. And this man was talking to graduating college students. And he explained how this person, the mom and him grew up in a very, very bad, poor neighborhood. And the mom was lying on this mattress. Not mattress, it was just a couch that was deep in like a hole in the couch, and that's where the mom was lying. And when he saw that hurt him so much, and he said, I'm going to grow up and buy my mom a big home and a king-size bed. And because of that, everything he touched, he became the best at it. He put it upon himself to work himself so hard that everything he did, he succeeded in it. Now, if his life wasn't like that, if he didn't start that way, would he have been so strong to deal with life the way he did? You never know. But that helped him to become a greater person. So we all need to look back at all these problems that we think are problems and pull good out of them. That's a big message I'm sharing today. But the bigger part is the fact that on that journey of trying to get there, you're going to interact with so many people. And these people are going to give you reasons to be angry. They're going to upset you. They're going to get you to the point where you think you are the lowest of your life. But that strength you can pull out of it. And allow your spirit to keep shining and refuse to dim. That's where the power is. That's where the power is. And that's what I'm saying. Beware of life's traps. Because all these people that you think are the ones giving you problem, it is not them. It is whatever these principalities and powers are that's trying to stop you from flowing through. That's trying to stop you from expressing your stardom, your light to the world. those are the things that are the problem. And I can tell you, I know, because I've been there. I mean, once you can go through life where maybe for young people, they're still at that level where you're still having dreams. I'm not saying I don't have dreams anymore. I do have dreams, but the minute you've gone past the basics of life, then your eyes become a lot clearer. There's a book I have, and the man says, I can see clearly now. I can see clearly now. It's like there's a song as well. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Now, the reason for that is I've gone through the different phases. Like I always try to explain, I was in Africa for a good number of years. I was born and bred, and everything happened there. I went through all the educational process and all of that. And so I understand what it means to live back home. And then I came over to the West, and I've been here for over 20 years. And I understand what my processes have been. So I've been through all the usual teenage years, and going to school, and then getting married, and then having children, and children have grown up now. So I can pick on all these stages of my life, and I can guide someone based on my experience. I can guide you if you're living back home, although things have changed now from when I was there. And I can guide you if you're living in the West, and I know the way the system works. So these are the things that I have experienced, and these are the things I want to share with the world. I run a business here in the West. I run a business way back home. And so I can relate to all my experiences and use that to guide someone who says to me, please, this is my situation. What do you think is happening here? Because if you don't handle your mental strength, your emotional strength, your spiritual strength, whatever else you're dealing with generally gets nowhere. Generally gets nowhere. I mean, people have been known to become millionaires and they lose it all. People have been known to, have the greatest of the happiest family, and everything disappears. So there is no guarantee what life throws at us. There is no guarantee. I mean, sometimes I see people and they think, oh yeah, man, it's so great. Nothing is wrong with having a great life, but then the challenges of life comes, which we have all been through. I have seen enough challenges. I was working in a massive telecoms company, and the company broke down, went bankrupt, and I was made redundant. And I picked myself up and started all over again with children in tow to take care of. So when these emotional problems come, mental problems come, spiritual problems come, how do you handle it? That's what personal development is about. That's what this message is about. How you can handle these things and still get on with your life, and still continue achieving your dreams, and still continue shining God's light into the world. Because one of the other things I also found out again, or comes to me again, is, the human spirit, which this book is one of the really best books on that, The Biology of Belief. The human spirit responds to love, responds to kindness, responds to support. And today I was just thinking about it. I'm telling you, it was a shock how the whole thing opened up to me. And I'm thinking, okay, we are God's creation. And so like every God's creation, it needs to be watered. It needs to have sunshine. So think about a seed, a plant. Now, when you put that plant in the soil, there was that, the parable of the sower, where the seeds were dropping at different places. The one that dropped in the stone could not grow. The one that dropped in the thorny places, lots of thorns ate it up. The one that dropped in in sand or by the roadside, people just walked over it. So these are all different scenarios of us in life as well. When you hang around people who are suffocating your spirit, you cannot grow. When you hang around people who, are trampling on you, you cannot grow. So that seed is what our spirit is. But imagine when that soil was put in a fertile ground and it was watered and it had sunshine on it. What happened to that seed? It grew. So that's the same thing with us. When you're around people who are creating these problems for you, life becomes difficult. So we need to understand how our spirit operates, and we work with it. So like I always say, we have a major message in all of us. And what I realized is, if we keep allowing these principalities and powers to affect us and break our spirit, then we will just leave the earth without contributing anything to it. And if you find that you keep having these experiences where things around you keep troubling you and stopping you and making you and distracting you from whatever it is you plan to do, then there's something really great in you that these things are trying to stop. So do not fall into that trap. Do not let that trap get to you. Be strong. Overcome it. And constantly remind yourself that I know who you are, you're trying to stop me. And I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm going to really stop here because as usual, I don't want to take too much of your time and I don't want to engage you in, maybe you got other things you want to do. But I just hope I've been able to share some message that will, put you in that thinking mode to start looking, reviewing your life and seeing where maybe things have been distracting you and stopping you from achieving your dreams. So if this message touched you and got you thinking and it's going to be beneficial to you, please share it with your friends, share it with your family members. Because another thing that I probably forgot to mention quickly is, if you find that people are getting to you, all you have to do is open up to them and explain to them that, please, what you did got to me. Can you help me by not letting that happen again? When you do that, you find that they will not realize that they've done something that really hurts you. Just to get that situation out of the way, so you don't hold what they call bad blood against people around you, because like I said, it's always people around you that may be used by these scenarios. So share it with your friends, and remember to give us a thumbs up. Follow us on social media, especially Instagram. I do post a lot there, because even when I get down sometimes and I go and watch some of the things I posted, it actually lifts my spirit up again and I get on with life. So I want the very best for all of us. I want all of us to achieve success and grow. So thank you again for watching, and God bless you abundantly.